Yeah, hi folks. Now, as you probably know, whenever Jacinda Ardern Media accuse you of doing something, they are always doing it themselves. Now, this is also called projection, where they project what they are doing themselves onto others. And right now, they are projecting misinformation onto you when they are peddling misinformation themselves.
Thousands of protesters descended on Parliament today with a range of messages for the Prime Minister about vaccines, mandates and lockdowns. New research shows people stuck at home are being bombarded with misinformation.
Yeah, misinformation coming from you and your boss Ardern and all the media she's paid off with our tax dollars.
That's becoming increasingly violent and racist. Here's political editor Jessica Mackay.
3,000 marching through the capital, led by bikers down Lambton Quay. Their message echoing around Parliament too. There were anti-vaxxers, people against mandates.
Yeah, no mandates, no certificates, no apartheid. Excellent message.
For vaccines, those who oppose lockdowns, the government and the media, and even Trump flags.
I'm from Whakatane, I come to support my hometown. It's about our doctors, our nurses, our fire brigade.
And teachers too.
Rural principals fear the vaccination mandate on teachers will see some schools forced to close from next Tuesday, when all teachers are meant to have had their first shot.
And the clock is ticking for domestic airline travellers too, as Karen Rutherford reports.
Deep in the King Country Hills, Matieri School is preparing for its end-of-year show. The principal's preparing for a showdown of her own with the government, worried she'll have to shut from next Tuesday because only 2 out of 7 teachers are vaccinated.
I signed up to educate children. That's our job. I didn't sign up to be an enforcer of a vaccine mandate.
Exactly.
Some staff here have medical reasons for refusing the vaccine. For others, it's personal. If they fail to get their first shot by next Tuesday and their second by January 1st, the government says no jab, no job. And Vanessa Gott says she can't teach 42 children on her own with one other.
That steps over a line when I am then being forced to say, you're a brilliant teacher, the kids love you, but actually, you're not vaccinated, so you're not worthy of having a position tomorrow.
Matieri School's plight is mirrored across rural New Zealand. Every one of the Central King Country's 16 schools, for instance, will lose between 15 and 75% of their teachers and or support staff from next Tuesday because they choose to be unvaccinated. With a shortage of relief teachers, doubling up of classrooms is likely in many rural schools from next week. The government clearly optimistic, though, it's got it in the bag.
We're working really hard to make sure that those teachers get good, reliable information.
But good, reliable information is not coming from you. The other day you reported 2 COVID deaths, but you didn't say whether they were vaxxed or unvaxxed. Why?
It is clear that there is some misinformation out there.
And News Hub understands mandating vaccinations for police officers is next.
But that's still a topic under conversation at the moment.
Why is that? Maybe they will be exempt.
And today, confirmation anyone over 12 flying domestically from mid-December will also need to be fully vaccinated or have a negative test.
And if you decide you don't want to be vaccinated, we want to carry you as well, but you're just going to need to go and get that test done before you can get on the plane.
Now, if they can get away with that, why can't restaurants? Restaurants could easily use an instant saliva test, for example.
Having their freedom and not being dictated to.
The mood here is electric. You can feel their anger and frustration as they try and communicate their message to the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister heard them from her office.
Actually, we provide them the provision to be able to use microphones.
And she laughs about it. She laughs at the protesters. She's laughing at you.
Look, what we saw today was not representative representative of the vast bulk of New Zealanders.
Well, I've been in Parliament a few years. I've never seen anything like the security arrangements here today.
Jacinda Ardern says she's seen increased anger at her online. Research out today says misinformation about COVID-19 is becoming more violent, extreme, misogynistic and racist.
Anti-Māori racism, a lot of Islamophobia, and we're also seeing white supremacist imagery being used in its entirety. We're seeing indications that the government or the state are similar to the Nazi regime, to apartheid.
Because it is apartheid. And hat tip to Red Beta for this one. He's one of New Zealand's finest bloggers out there. See the links below.
To a Stalinist or communist regime.
Because it is.
Who was a big wig at the Otago University Students Association and who is now Deputy Prime Minister under Jacinda Ardern. You see, it turns out that Grant Robertson was also involved in the Maoist-leaning Aotearoa Youth Network. See, this is how it works, folks. The New Zealand Labour Party and the Green Party, which is even more communist, has been heavily infiltrated over many years by hardcore leftists. And Jacinda Ardern is just one more example of this. Several of Jacinda Ardern's cabinet have hardcore radical backgrounds, and a whole bunch of Labour MPs came out of the communist or socialist movements.
That was evident today with words like apartheid and Nazi symbols.
To say that you are like the Jews who were persecuted in the Holocaust because they were born Jews is abhorrent. And I've heard that from Jews whose parents were Holocaust survivors. And I'm absolutely appalled.
Experts say there's evidence extreme groups are tapping into causes like Māori rights movements.
The devastating consequences of that are one, that the people who have worked on and led these movements now for generations are becoming targeted.
Well, that comes with the territory.
We're here on Te Atiawa land. In fact, we're above Te Atiawa
waters. At one time, the shoreline was quite further inland. And
wow, so climate change was worse back then.
these waters connect us to Te Whananui-a-Kiwa and cement us as members of the big blue continent, the Pacific nation. These are the waters of Tara, son of Whātonga, grandson of Toi, who were courageous voyagers across that big blue continent.
So you're not Indigenous then, but here you are peddling Indigenous rights.
And from then, they have had many descendants, many generations who have survived some of the most incredible crises, natural disasters, conflict, the greatest disaster of colonisation and all that has come with it. And Amwana region is a colonised region. And we are a colonised nation. And if you understand what colonisation entails, you'll know that it is an inherently racist, oppressive experience that is, in this context of Aotearoa, not historical but enduring. We are members of a nation that was forged under a shared agreement, Te Tiriti o Waitangi, and we are governed under a system that is a violation of that agreement, that being the New Zealand Parliament. Now, don't at me about that on Twitter. That's already been acknowledged by the Crown Judiciary, the Waitangi Tribunal. So we're governed under a system of what could be called racist entitlement.
Wow, now here she is pushing Hipuapua style critical race theory, and she doesn't expect any pushback for that. Anyway, today I'll leave you with this petition, and the link is below.
In the middle of a pandemic, the government have decided they want to seize your local water assets and put them into the hands of unelected, co-governed entities. They're calling these reforms Three Waters, but won't tell you the three dangerous consequences of higher water costs, unnecessary bureaucracy, and no local control. Councils across New Zealand and independent analysis have said no to these reforms. Three Waters, zero gain. Get the facts at stop3waters.nz and tell them no.